Hello and thanks for joining us on NTA Nationwide. In this package, we hope to travel to Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt and Makurdi centers, beginning from here, the Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Ogechi Paul. And I'll begin by telling you that the Special Assistant to the President on Youth and Student Affairs, Nasiru Saidu Adama, has launched a Youth and Textile Empowerment Program as part of government's effort to gainfully employ youths in the country. He said this was also to mark the International Youth Day, which targets 6,000 youths who will be trained on sewing.
They will be given, they will be provided with all equipment, all necessary materials, the fabrics, the sewing machines, and whatever they need to start up their new businesses in textile and garment sector. We believe the textile and garment sector is one of the major sectors that will create jobs, that will create not less than 2.8 to 3 million new indirect new jobs.
The youths, he added, are drawn from the 6 geopolitical zones of the country and will be provided opportunities to be trained in the making of school uniforms for students at primary and secondary levels. Still on youths who occupy a formidable segment of the population of any country. Therefore, for any nation to attain social, economic and political growth, it has to be aware of the important role of youths and treat them accordingly. As the world observes International Youth Day, Chidinma Gomo examines the importance of the day.
The theme for this year's celebration is Road to 2030, eradicating poverty and achieving sustainable production and consumption. Stakeholders are of the view that it is high time the current state of Nigerian youth is re-examined, as they are largely regarded as the legitimate future leaders. Overdue also is how poverty can be eradicated among the youths.
Yes, I've been an advocate of the youth because they are full of energy. They have good aspirations of what they can become. And if they are given the support by government, they can do quite a lot.
At the moment, many youths are yet to reach their full potentials as a result of many problems, which include poverty, poor education, food insecurity, manipulation of youth by politicians, unemployment, among others. Many of the developed world attain their present heights through effective contributions of their youths.
Education. My advice to today's youth is to go to school. The more education you have, I think the more opportunities you have, and the more opportunities you have, the better jobs you can get.
As a youth, from my government, I expect equal opportunity as far as education and job applications, and probably non-discrimination against race and color when applying for jobs and screenings.
In terms of natural endowment, Nigerian youths, if properly mobilized, are capable of performing the feats associated with their counterparts elsewhere in the universe. But what should be done to this important segment of the population of the society? Some youths speak.
Instead of relying on government to do everything for them.
Capital is basically one of the basic things that
humanitarian gesture to include education.
Sustaining, diversifying the economy is very much linked to what we think is needed to be done. I'm talking, of course, about massive investment in literacy, about the technical vocational training, about giving skills to the young people, about looking also at the inclusion of women, about the northeast of the country, fighting extremism.
Her visit also provided opportunity to mobilize the development partners and rub minds with the government for a successful international conference on Lake Chad as a critical step to addressing the effects of climate change. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
In another development, the federal government says it remains resolute in improving the rail system in Nigeria. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi stated this at the signing of Memorandum of Understanding with the Chinese construction company for the completion of the Takpe-Ajokuta Warri Standard Gauge Line. Oyinaya Kaloka reports.
The 340-kilometer Itakpe-Ajokuta Warri standard gauge line is expected when completed to transport iron ore from Itakpe mine to the Ajokuta and Delta Steel plant, as well as coal from Warri to Ajokuta. Signing on behalf of the federal government, Minister of Transportation Chibike Rotimi Amechi said government clearly considers rail rehabilitation as crucial to the country's economic development.
Like you know, it is part of the economic corridor of Nigeria, where you have solid minerals. We've been working on that line for a very long time. I would like to complete it. If you say 3 years appear to be too long for 254 or 40 something kilometers, I think we can try and do it before 2 years.
It is a milestone in the development of the railway subsector for Nigeria.
If we can spend not too much money just to build the railway from Ajakuta to Abuja, takes about 3-4 years, and so many other industries will be developed.
Memorandum of Understanding for the construction of expansion of the Warri Port, Deep Sea Port and Industrial Park of Bonny Island was also signed. Oyinaya Kalu-Oka, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says members of the creative industry has a great role to play in the present government's campaign for change. The minister said this in Abuja when he granted audience to executive members of the Performing Musician Association of Nigeria, PMAN. Anthony Forson filed the report.
As role models in society with large followership, Lai Mohammed said involving them in the reorientation campaign will record a huge impact.
Each and every one of us, we just do things with impunity. Our campaign is actually aimed at persuading everybody to change the way they do things and do them in a way that is going to be patriotic and is going to help everybody. Why do I appeal to you? In your respective positions, many people like Mr. Ineji, you are influencers.
With the ongoing federal government's digitization project, the minister said it will help check piracy.
Because if we go digital, an artist, whether they are musicians, whether they are film actors, if they can release their productions online, we are going to put out the pirates out of business.
Earlier, President of the association, Preeti Okafor, had intimated the minister of his association's resolve to partner with the federal government in growing the nation's economy. Preeti Okafor also said his association is working on a project titled PMAN Buhari Administration, a partnership for change to create jobs and grow the nation's economy. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The Buhari Oshibajo Youth Support Movement has commended President Muhammadu Buhari's laudable government policies in fight against corruption. This was in a message by the Coordinator General, Comrade Emeni Ibe, as part of activities to mark this year's International Youth Celebration. He enjoined Nigerians to champion the effort of the federal government to diversify the economy through agriculture and be part of efforts of government to tackle the various challenges facing the country, adding that President Buhari is winning the war on corruption and terrorism.
We wish to commend His Excellency for vigorously pursuing to restore sanity in the way things are done in this country through the change agenda, especially for the bold step he has taken to protect the sanity, dignity of our country. Mr. President, change agenda places a high premium and top priority on the well-being of Nigerians.
The Buhari Oshibajo Youth Support Movement is a non-governmental and non-profit organization committed to supporting President Buhari's government. Operation Safe Haven in Plateau is facilitating a peace-building process in the flashpoints of threats to peace in the state. Sector Commander Joint
in the state. From the headquarters, Operation Safe Haven, Jos, Plateau State, Muhammad Abdel Kadri, NTA News.
Still talking security, Enugu State government, in partnership with security agencies in the state have mobilized the necessary machineries to facilitate the recapturing of the escapees from the Nigerian prisons. Nsukka, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, who was on a post-assessment of the jailbreak, attributed the incident to security lapses at the prison. Ijoma Ngweke reports.
The hilly town of Nsukka woke up yesterday to hear that there was a jailbreak at the almost 100-years-old Nsukka prison. When NTA News got to the prison, Controller of Prison Enugu State, Mr. Ifeanyi Amaleri, was already at the scene holding closed-door meeting with the prison officials to have a first-hand information of the incident.
There was a problem. Some awaiting trial inmates were able to get an unusual freedom by escaping from custody.
It was alleged from an unofficial source that about 25 inmates escaped with the help of ladder and with their bags. Speaking to NTA News later, the controller, Mr. Amaleri, said he is not in a position to tell us the exact number of inmates that escaped, but was happy to announce that 6 of them have already been arrested within Nsukka Metropolis.
Like I told you, the profiling process is on. And you know that it's a prison that is slightly above its capacity. So details and record confirmation of the inmates is ongoing, as I tell you. But a good radiance is that our men were on top of the situation, as it were. And as I speak with you now, 6 out of the fleeing ones have been recaptured.
Well, it's now time to join Vera in our Lagos studio for more stories on Nationwide. Hello, Vera. Over to you.
Thank you, Ogechi. Good evening and welcome to Lagos. The Federal Road Safety Corps says it is determined to ensure that safety measures are observed in the construction area of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway through effective traffic management. Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi stated this while inspecting safety signs on the ongoing reconstruction work on the expressway. Ken Egweliwe has details.
Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is unarguably one of the busiest roads in the country. It is the corridor to Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country. It has witnessed increase in vehicular movement over the years and in most cases recorded several road crashes. Following the commencement of reconstruction work on the road, the Federal Road Safety Corps says it will ensure that road users are saved from undue hardship due to omission or commission of the construction companies. The Corps Marshal, who inspected the construction areas, directed the companies to strictly adhere to safety standards. He promised that the FRSC, in discharge of its responsibilities, will continue to collaborate with the companies to ensure that measures are taken in the construction areas.
We expect that all the construction areas will have been fortified with the appropriate road signage, because we are talking about safety of lives and property. We must ensure that, especially at night, not only that the signs must be reflective as per the International Geneva and Vienna Conventions. We must ensure that people traveling at night are well protected, because most of the crashes on this road since construction started occurs at night due to the absence of adequate signs. And the construction areas must be well illuminated overnight so that people will be aware, drivers and other road users. That is the essence of this collaboration.
The Corps Marshal also met with the 2 construction companies to address some of the challenges identified that could undermine safety in the area. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
Private school proprietors have been urged to register their schools with the Lagos State Ministry of Education. To this end, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry has inspected schools that have complied with the directive in 5 districts of the state.
The monitoring exercise took the team of 5 education districts across the state, namely Maryland Education District 2, Falomo District 3, Oshodi District 6, Sabo District 4, and Agege Education District 1. In all the districts, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Mr. Adeshino Deyemi, emphasized on the state government's policy to sanction unregistered private schools in the state.
Government has now decided that all private schools should come and put their name down in a register, because we want to go around all those schools and see their facilities and also encourage them on what to put in place such that students that are in such school get quality education.
Some of the private school owners, however, appealed for the extension of the deadline date for the registration.
My advice to all the private owners that we should cooperate with them so that we, the owners, will be able to have the rest of mind.
I want to believe that when there's an instruction that seems to actually address what we are doing as individuals, I want to believe the right thing is just to comply.
The registration exercise is expected to end on the 27th of this month. A total of 6,083 private schools have so far registered with the Lagos State Ministry of Education in Lagos. Dotson Ubemi, NTA News.
That does it from Lagos. Ogechi has more reports on Nationwide. Ogechi, over to you.
Positively respond to the national aspiration of food security, Director General of National Biotechnology Agency, Professor Lucy Ogbedu, explained this at the Biotech Forum to educate staff of the Ministry of Agriculture on biotechnology. Science correspondent Kirian Omayo has that report.
Explanations provided encapsulated the processes of genetic engineering as a science that is replicated anywhere in the world and endorsed by a Katagama protocol, which Nigeria is a signatory. Professor Obadu emphasized that Nigeria must not be allowed to lag behind in GMO application is a result of ignorance and not from the point of knowledge. Kirian Umayo, NTA News.
The federal government has approved the establishment of the School of Nursing and Midwifery in Nguru Local Council of Yobe State. The school is to be situated at the former site of the Federal Medical Center Nguru, which was moved to a newly built permanent site. Briefing the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Sagie Hanire, who took an assessment tour of the hospital, the Chief Medical Director of the Federal Medical Center Nguru, Dr. Abubakar Musa, explained that the school was established to address the growing shortage and imbalance in the availability of skilled manpower in Yobe State. The ministers stressed the need for the people living within the area to fully participate in the school activities. He gave the assurance that with the federal government's policy of revitalizing 10,000 primary health care centers across the country, the pressure on the Federal Medical Center will be reduced. When you're watching Nationwide, NEMA raises public awareness on prevention of flooding. This and other stories as we link Daoju in our Ibadan studio for news making rounds in that zone. Good to see you, Daoju.
Good to see you too, Ogechi. Good evening and welcome to Ibadan. Residents of Ibadan have been warned against indiscriminate dumping of refuse along waterways in order to avoid flooding. Zonal Coordinator of Nigerian Emergency Management Agency said this on a sensitization campaign in Ibadan. Correspondent Shola Wahid has the reports.
Flood is an overflow of water due to excessive rainfall or other input of water. It is a common natural disaster that affects millions of people in the world with destructions of houses, farmland, and human lives. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, raised the alarm on predictable flooding in some states, including Oyo, this year, which has prompted the National Emergency Management Agency to embark on a sensitization campaign. Zonal Coordinator Southwest, Yakubu Suleiman, said the purpose of the roadwork in Ibadan is to educate the people on the danger of dumping refuse along waterways.
That the community that we are in have not forgotten, and have forgotten what happened in 2011. The flood that happened in this environment that claimed lives and property, that also made people to lose their means of livelihood. It's still the trend. You can see people building on floodplains, drainages all over the place.
In our local government, we have been dragging the rivers, and we have embarked on the environmental sanitation. And we have even invited the major stakeholders, even the market women, the market women and men. then the community leaders.
The one we witnessed in 2011 is still very, very much around. So I'm appealing to people, don't throw refuse on the mainstream, because whether you throw refuse there, water will find its way.
Already, some states are battling with the fury of the disaster following torrential rainfalls. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News. Shola Wahid, NTA.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says all is set for the conduct of by-election into Orelekpo State Constituency seat of Oyo State House of Assembly on August 20, 2016. Administrative Secretary of INEC in Oyo State, Ebenezer Afakorede, stated this at a stakeholders meeting in Ibadan. Correspondent reports.
Administrative Secretary of INEC, Oyo State, Elder Ebenezer Afakorede, explained that 13 political parties have collected nomination forms, but only Labour, Accord, and APC have submitted their forms so far.
On that day of election, we are expecting 29,134 voters to come out with their permanent voters card to the polling units where they registered and collected their PVC so that they can exercise their voting right.
Deputy Commissioner of Police, Oyo State, in charge of operations, Sanusi Buba, want miscreants and politicians not to foment trouble.
We have identified flashpoints where we will deploy patrol teams a day before the election, within 2 days. We are going to flood that place.
Some stakeholders comment on the coming by-election.
They've said all, and we have contributed as well to them. And we agree with them, and there's no going back. We are ready for the election.
My advice is that our party members should mobilize, they should campaign, and their campaign should be based on issues.
Orelepe State constituency has 10 registration areas with 84 voting points to be manned by 330 ad hoc staff for the election. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army says sports and physical exercise will always be accorded priority to enhance mental alertness of its personnel to perform their constitutional duties. General Officer Commanding 2 Division, Nigerian Army, Ibadan, Major General Kasimu Abdul Karim, said this at the opening of the Inter-Brigade Games in Division. Correspondent Olumide Guntola reports.
At the opening ceremony of the 2016 Inter-Brigade Sports Competition of formations of military outfits under 2 Division Nigerian Army, Udugbe Ibadan, General Officer Commanding Major General Kasimu Abdul Karim said sport is a veritable tool for the Nigerian Army to actualize its professional goals.
If you induct troops who are physically not fit in the battlefield, of course you are not going to get a good result. But if you have very healthy soldiers in the field, and it's expected that with a good weapon system, they should be able to give a very sound result in the field.
Representatives of Oyo State government, including the Secretary to the State government, Olaleka Ali, who declared the event open, hailed the Nigerian Army for maintaining peace and order in Oyo State. Security chiefs of the various security outfits in the state also witnessed the occasion meant to select athletes that represent the division in the forthcoming Nigerian Army Sports Championship in Ibadan. Olumide Gutola, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Ibadan. Ogechi is back to you for continuation of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Daojo. You are watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We will be back after this timeout. Do stay with us.
You hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter. That might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words. Run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite. against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and...
Digital technology and information is changing the world. For our children to stay ahead and compete globally, they must evolve from being users to creators of technology. Digital Appearance International, in conjunction with partners, is organizing the 16th edition of Digitest, tagged Entrepreneurship, a roadmap to a sustainable future, for children aged 8 to 18 years and school teachers. Date, August 24th to September 2nd, 2016, Abuja. Kids will be taught on how to code, design and build mobile and desktop apps. For registration and participation, visit www.digitalappearance.org or call the numbers on your screen. The digital revolution has already begun. Do not allow your kids to be left out.
We intend to radically change Newman Street. My company has a track record of converting slums into new cities. Many years of experience has taught us to fish out allies within the communities we want to transform.
Don't listen to your husband. Listen to me. Give me a boy. And the two of you may never even have to work again.
What's your name? Akpos America. Oh, Akpos America. Wow. Love it too. Wonderful wonder.
Society for Peace Studies and Practice, SPSP, is organizing the 10th International Conference and General Assembly with the theme Curbing Corruption and Building Sustainable Peace. Date from August 15 to 17, 2016. Venue, Grand Hotel, Asaba, Delta State. Chief host, His Excellency Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, the Executive Governor of Delta State. Host, His Excellency Deacon Barrister Kingsley Otuaro, Deputy Governor of Delta State. Keynote speaker, Professor the Provost, ICPC Anti-Corruption Academy, Abuja. Royal Father of the Day, His Imperial Majesty Dr. Emmanuel Onyeke Efeizamo II, the Obi of Owa Kingdom. Conveners, Professor Isaac Olawale Albert, Chairman Board of Trustees, Dr. Willie A. Eselebo, President, Professor Ben Okaba, Chairman Delta State Chapter of SPSB. Chairman of the opening ceremony, Professor Sam Oyovaire, former Minister of Information. For inquiries, call 0803 481 4803 or send an email to president@spsb.org.ng.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
This is a sheer exhibition of your primitive atavistic tendency.
Any student who does not donate to my ministry will not be blessed by the ministry.
A phenomenon that defies the norm. A comedy and social satire that touches all, bears all, and shakes you up like never before.
Yeah, like after now you go say I made the talk all is about the thing where they have for this one.
That's Professor John Bugu, the biggest thing on your TV this season. Starring Kanayo Okanayo, Mercy Johnson, Queen Woko, Yomi Fashlanso, Funky Mama, Med Bishop, Bimbo Akintola, Goosebumps, Idemi Kosoko, Junior Pro MC for God, Stephen Otigbe, and a host of other mega stars.
During every day, there is a Yura.
Intellectual prepare.
Professor John Boo, every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 to 9 p.m. on NTA International, NTA Network, and Star Times. Over and out.
The largest data network, Globe Unlimited.
For over 25 years, I have been privileged to anchor various programs on television. But the news program that I find most exciting and challenging is The Weekend File. This is largely because of its philosophy of engaging all classes of people, the artisans, politicians, technocrats, captains of industry, and professional analysts on issues that touch all aspects of life and living. In the conversations that follow, you find complexities, different views, ideologies, thought patterns, and individual beliefs. It's quite engaging. We do this Saturdays on NTA Network Service at 9 p.m. It's Weekend File, but you call it Weekend Companion, and it's all about nation building. Join me, Kirian Umayo, and production crew every Saturday for this weekend treat, and I can tell you that it is unmissable. Make it a day.
Nationwide continues. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has challenged agencies under his ministry responsible for the provision of houses to reposition themselves towards achieving their mandate of providing affordable housing to Nigerians. It was in a message at a performance assessment of the Federal Mortgage Bank. Mohammed Hamza Sheikh reports.
In its over 40 years of existence, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has introduced a number of programs aimed at providing affordable houses to Nigerians on a sustainable basis, but with minimal success. Worse hit perhaps are government workers who for the past 35 years have been contributing 2.5% of their monthly salary to the bank's National Housing Fund, but less than 20% of them have so far benefited from its mortgages. This is apart from the huge debt owed the bank and its shrinking capital. This situation, the minister said, cannot be allowed to continue.
A performance-driven culture must be imbibed amongst all staff to enable the bank attain heights of being a reputable secondary mortgage bank, which can carry out their mandate of delivering affordable housing to the Nigerian citizen and move the bank to profitability.
Acting Managing Director of the bank, Richard Essing, said since April when its structure was changed, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has been on a self-reinvention course through corporate governance restoration.
I've always argued that we'll be able to provide houses for everybody, or mortgages for everybody. That is a statement of fact. But we should be able to provide mortgages for the greater number of our contributors.
This is the first time the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is assessing its performance internally since establishment. Muhammad Hamza Sheikh, NTA News.
Still on service delivery, checking ghost workers is part of efforts by government at all levels to promote accountability and transparency in governance, as well as increase revenue sources. Kogi State is one of the states doing this, as stakeholders from the state observed while featuring on NTA's program Good Morning Nigeria. Salihu Abdullahi has the report.
Fighting the menace of ghost workers has been an option open for government at all levels in addressing the issue of corruption and improving accountability in governance. Kogi State government has taken a bold step in this direction. This, they say, has resulted in the discovery of over 18,000 ghost workers, saving the government about 1.3 billion naira monthly, hitherto lost to ghost workers. The guests, including the Commissioner for Finance and Economic Development in Kogi State, Ashiru Idris, say the ongoing exercise will not only improve transparency, but also positively turn around the state's economic fortunes.
Presently now we have what we call a complaint and review committee. In that committee, we have the forces, a member of the CIB, we have police, we have SS, member of the review and complaint committee, we have labor member, we have civil society group. so that the people will know that we are doing this thing for the purpose of our state.
So we have two areas of leakages. Apart from ghost workers syndrome, we have the syndrome of income tax. It's a syndrome that is national, but it has its own column in Kogi State. Tax payment, tax collection.
The Finance Commissioner has appealed to workers in the state not to see the exercise as a witch hunt, but efforts towards a better life for the people. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The People's Democratic Party has assured aspirants to the various elective offices of a level playing field at the party's national convention in Port Harcourt next week. Chairman of the party's Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibril, gave the assurance at the media briefing in Abuja. Abdullahi Garba Kudu has details.
Given an update on the current reconciliation efforts by the Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibril said progress has been made.
That things are going in the best possible way of settlement. And the party is going to be revived. The party is going to be one entity without any problem that we used to be before.
Meanwhile, the party's temporary secretariat is a beehive of activities as aspirants continue to pick nomination forms for the 21 elective positions. Notable among them are Chief Raymond Depesi, Olabode George, Jimmy Abaje for national chairman.
I have paid my dues in this party. Since 1998, I had been, never left the party for anywhere.
My mission is to serve the party, is to return the party to the vision of the founding fathers.
Also in the race is Mr. George Turner for the office of Deputy National Chairman 1.
We will preach the gospel of putting every personal interest behind us and pursue a common goal.
The convention is slated for Wednesday next week. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Navy hands over seized vessel to River State Police Command as women from across the globe converge in Port Harcourt to pray for world peace. These and more as we join Ogwa in our Port Harcourt studios for details. Good afternoon, Ogwa.
Good afternoon, Ogechi. Welcome to Port Harcourt. In continuation of the Nigerian Navy's effort to put an end to criminal activities at the nation's maritime domain, the forward operating base of the Nigerian Navy, Bonny, has handed over a vessel with its crew members suspected to be engaged in criminal activities on the water bodies to the River State Police Command. Karina Igoniko reports.
The ship, codenamed MV Count Fleet, with 9 crew members, was arrested following alleged involvement in piracy off Pennington Terminal. In line with the Chief of Naval Staff mandate on zero tolerance to criminal activities at the nation's offshore, Commanding Officer for the Forward Operating Base Bonny, Captain Clement Egbinta Etebi said, after preliminary investigations on the activities of the vessel and its crew members, the seizure was made.
We are alerted and we quickly responded by going out there to arrest the vessel and its crew.
Representative of the Commissioner of Police, DSP Stephen Irobo, before receiving the handover document of the MV Count Fleet from the naval personnel, a thorough inspection starting from the engine room, cabin, deck, control room, among other facilities, was carried out to ascertain the condition of the ship. From the forward operating base, Bonny Island, Karina Igoniko, NTA News.
State-owned broadcasting organizations in Nigeria, Sobon, has a task to align with the emerging trend in areas of content, staff training and audience enlightenment in order not to be cut off in view of the switchover from analog to digital transmission come July 2017. Director General NTA Yakubu Mohammed said this at the 2016 Sobon Conference in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The migration from analog to digital broadcasting would require broadcast stations to upgrade their equipment, train their staff to produce competitive content, while the viewers would have to buy a set-top box in order to receive the signal. Director General of NTA, represented by Assistant Director News Phil Obano, said NTA, as a public signal carrier, is playing a leading role in the drive towards digitization with its partnership with StarTimes.
It is instructive to know that the NTA adopted a revolutionary step towards digitization as far back as 2008 by inviting the Chinese-owned StarTimes for partnership to commence a pilot digital terrestrial transmission (DTT).
While the national president of Ratao, Yemesi Bamboshe, was concerned about funding the program, the Rivers State government pledged commitment to ensure the digitization of its broadcast stations.
We must work to make sure that this switch over that will make people, more accessible to government activity.
We have shifted the post before, and where we are now, we can't shift it again.
That was instrumental to the money MBC is spending today. So you can see the amount of money that they are going to spend in this.
The theme of the conference is anchored on the power of the state-owned media, moving towards multiple platforms. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Well, thousands of women from across the globe are currently in Port Harcourt to offer supplication to God for world unity and peace. The women under a Christian group, Wailing Women Worldwide, have received assurances from both Rivers and Bayelsa state governments of partnership towards realizing their goal of building a viral society. Chidiebere Onya has the details.
The annual solemn assembly of the Wailing Women Worldwide brought together women across the globe who converged to offer prayers and supplications to God for the cleansing and unity of the society and for the redemption of nations of the world.
Rehoboth means now the Lord has made room for us and we shall be fruitful in the land.
The various nations represented at the conference paraded with their flags, praising God in their local languages.
I saw how God used Wailing women to give this land and this city to God.
As husbands of the Wailing women, we need to bind together. So, because we got to support our wives and they've got a calling.
Rivers and Bayelsa state governments, on their part, promised to partner with the group in the task of building a viral society.
When women pray, special things happen.
We are here as mothers to join our voices in thanking this great God of heaven and in soliciting for his blessings upon Nigeria and every country in the world.
From Eche local government area of Rivers State, Chidiebere Onya, NTA News.
Well, Ogechi, that's all from this end. Back to you now for the rest of the news. Good afternoon.
Well, thank you, Ogo. And still talking religion, the first flight of FCT Muslim pilgrims has taken off to the Holy Land with 379 pilgrims on board. The inaugural flight took off at about 9:20 last night from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Abdullahi Ajia reports.
The first batch of FCT intending Muslim pilgrims, which was scheduled to depart at 1 p.m., had to wait until 9 p.m., thereby spending several hours waiting for the flight at the terminal of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Although no explanation was given by the air carriers for the delay, the FCT Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board officials who were on ground said they had completed screening for the 379 pilgrims billed to travel with the first flight and given them all their travel documents. The waiting period came to an end on arrival of the aircraft, which later conveyed the intending pilgrims to the Holy Land. Meanwhile, the screening and clearance of pilgrims for the second batch is ongoing at the permanent Hajj camp. From the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
We're joining Makodi now as World Bank to commit $2.5 million United States dollars to water project in Benue State. This and more as we join Anna as our center there with Charles as our guide. Hello, Charles, over to you.
Paul, and welcome to Makudi. More than 50 members of different court groups from various tertiary institutions in Benue State have renounced their membership. The members were received by the Commissioner of Police, Bashir Makama. Here are the details. Makurdi, the Benue State capital, has continued to experience various criminal activities with the highest record of cult operations that have left several persons dead. It is in the wake of this development that the Commissioner of Police, Bashir Makama, earlier summoned a security stakeholders meeting with a commitment to evolve proactive measures to stamp out crimes. This has paid off as the National Coordinator of Campus Cult Eradication Foundation, Samuel Ejembi, presented members of cult groups from various tertiary institutions across the state who renounced their membership of various confraternities.
It takes only those who have practiced cultism to say no to it from their heart, knowing the right word to tell a practicing cultist to make he or she have a sober reflection.
Some of the renouncers called on others to desist from the act so as to become responsible citizens. Heads of tertiary institutions at the forum, who lauded the courage of the members, pledged to assist, counsel, and integrate them into normal course of life. Commissioner of Police, Benue State Command, Bashir Makama, who expressed worry over the spate of cultism in the state, assured those who renounced their membership of safety of their lives.
Violence is eradicated. My concern is violence. Long as there is death, there is injury, there is maiming, it gives everyone cause for concern. For me in particular, I feel it so hard.
He maintained that the command will continue to work with all relevant bodies and individuals to make Benue State cult-free. The World Bank is to commit $2.5 million for the execution of water projects in Benue State. This is part of the third National Urban Water Sector Reform Project, which Benue State is chosen from among 12 states. Achigli Magaji reports.
The project, for which work has already commenced, is being executed through the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. Some of the criteria for the project include political commitment to reform in water policy, cost recovery capability of its water policy, and availability of facilities needed for the project. Towards this, a diagnostic study of Benue State Water Board will be done to ascertain its challenges and how to accommodate them within the budget framework. Coordinator of the project in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Adewale Olabode, explained that a steering committee is to be set up immediately to give the project the needed political direction.
The only thing we require from the state government is political commitment to ensure that the project is successful in Benue State.
Governor Samuel Otom, who expressed excitement over the development, said government will give all the assistance required for the project to be successful.
And when it comes to people who seek partnership with us to help us develop the state, we don't play with them.
The interventions will last for a period of 5 years. In Makurdi, Achigli Magaji, NTA News.
That report on urban water reform project rounds off our contribution from Makurdi. Paul, it's back to you.
Thank you. President Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been applauded for the strides taken to arrest corruption, which has become a lifestyle in the nation. This was at the inaugural meeting of retired leaders of major church denominations in Nigeria under the auspices of the After Service Life Forum. Held in Abuja, Lydia Bassi was there for NTA News.
The forum, which is meant to review the state of the nation, acknowledged the relative containment of Boko Haram insurgency and recommended that various groups in the Niger Delta be engaged proactively to minimize loss of lives and property.
A virile and credible economic team should be put in place without further delay. Government must be sensitive to federal character principle as enshrined in our Constitution, the appointment of leaders of government institutions and parastatals.
The After-Service Leadership Forum described as unacceptable the non-payment of salaries and pensions across many states in Nigeria and resolved that the church should develop and adopt a more strategic approach for the raising and nurturing of sustainable servant leadership within the church and polity in Nigeria.
We are hoping that this will be a stepping stone to greater things to come to the church as well as to.
And those of us in the diaspora were equally concerned. We want to be a part of rebuilding the country
and also participate in leadership training in the nation.
We should have had this meeting a long time ago, and more people who have been experienced in the church in various capacities should be involved, including women.
The meeting, which held for 3 days, is the maiden edition of the forum. Lydia Bassi, NTA News.
And from our global desk, 600 doctors in East Africa to receive training in early cancer detection. The United Nations to vote on deploying 4,000 regional force to South Sudan, despite government's opposition. These are more on global tidbits with Chimdema Dubisi.
The project of providing specialized training for doctors in East Africa is funded by the region's development bank and is to take place in the United Kingdom. This will combat the increase in cancer cases. And Zambia's electoral body is still collating and counting votes cast at Thursday's presidential and parliamentary elections, with results expected on Saturday. In Burundi, the United Nations Committee on Torture says more than 600 people have been tortured by security forces since violence broke out over President Pierre Nkurunziza's third-term bid. Away from Africa, reports from Thailand indicate that strings of bomb attacks since Thursday and on Friday, which is the Queen's birthday holiday, have left at least 4 persons dead, with dozens injured. The attacks targeted tourist destinations. The country had voted to accept a military-backed constitution, which has caused divisions. That's Global Tidbits. Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Well, a report just reaching us now says President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with the All Progressives Congress National Chairman John Odigio Yegunasi turns 77. A statement by the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that the President also commended his patriotism, hard work and leadership in managing the affairs of the governing party. President Buhari affirms that Chief Oyegun's dedication to noble causes and democratic ideals has indeed endeared him to many Nigerians who will continue to draw inspiration from his legacies to offer the best for the country. The President prays that God Almighty will grant him many more years of happiness and good health to see a better and prosperous Nigeria. Now talking sports now, Dream Team 6. Well, that's it on this package of NTA Nationwide. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to join other news belts in the course of today's programming. I am Ogechi Paul.